we move on to our second keynote address for today, and it is my pleasure to welcome the Chairman, President, and CEO of Dow Chemical Company, Mr. Andrew Liveris. A 38-year veteran of Dow and a recognized global business leader, Mr. Liveris sits on the board of directors of IBM, is chairman of the U.S. Business Council, and serves as an advisor to U.S. President Obama on manufacturing, energy, and export issues. Of course, I would like to remind you that we will be having a Q&A session. As you can see, we have the seats ready here later on. But right now, I'd like you all to join me in welcoming Mr. Liveris.
Thank you, Nadine, for that very kind introduction. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, I have, at the beginning of my talk, a big thank you to Mohammed Al-Mahdi, my good friend and colleague. And in the way of transparency, I was invited in 2007 to give a keynote speech, and I had to withdraw at the last minute. Mohammed, I am now here in full apology, giving the keynote speech 7 years later. Thank you for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. I especially appreciate following such great keynote speakers already, especially my partner and good friend, Khalid Al-Fallah, the President and CEO of Aramco. And I can truthfully say that we did not compare speeches beforehand, and the complementarity of the speech speaks to the complementarity of our partnership. He spoke of the great opportunities that are present here in this region of the world, and to build a world-leading, and the term that I would like to use, as indicated on the slide, is advanced manufacturing sector, based on this incredible foundation that's been built here over these 2 or 3 decades in chemistry, in chemicals and petrochemicals. Today, I want to discuss the power of this sector and how it can shape economies and benefit society, and what is required of the countries and the companies in this room. We have to get it right. As already indicated by the keynote speakers today, this is an imperative. The stakes are very high. We know this is a pivotal region of the world. We all understand that. Pivotal to the global economy and to geographic security. When the GCC countries are thriving, the benefits are felt around the world. When there is conflict in this region, the instability, too, is widely felt. We all have a strong interest in building economies in this part of the world, in this region, where opportunity is indeed abundant and where individuals have the chance to progress, prosper, grow. We all have a strong interest, and we can all play a role in helping that happen. So it has never been more important to have these conversations, especially in the face of persistent economic headwinds, volatility, uncertainty, and low and slow growth. One of the few certainties in today's world is energy, that very essential ingredient for global growth and prosperity. And a key subset of that world of energy is, yes, indeed, the world of fossil fuels. When we look around the world, we see that we have fossil fuel resources which creates really no guarantees that they will be used to their full advantage. Whether that happens is up to you, up to us, the companies, the governments, and the intersections and the policies that happen. The global landscape of fossil fuels is really made up of haves and have-nots. The have-nots tend to focus themselves on efficiency, on alternatives, and energy security. They have little choice. The haves focus on oil, gas, coal, production, and exports, often to the exclusion of other priorities. This is not a sustainable model for the haves. What we need is a third model. Countries that have, but actually behave more like have-nots. Countries that rely on coherent, flexible, and balanced strategies. For more than 100 years, this region of haves has been central to the global energy picture. That has not changed. But something else has changed. How this region now thinks of itself, what plans it's actually making for itself, and what it chooses to do with this precious energy and its resource and what to do with it. Yes, the Middle East will continue to export hydrocarbons because the world needs them. But more and more, when I come to this region as often as I do, I see a new understanding of the power of these resources, and your governments to enable high-value solutions that boost growth here, create jobs here, and enable human progress indeed around the world. Given this shale revolution that we all now know about in North America, given low oil prices, a more recent event everywhere, it is very critical that the Middle East really does add value to this precious God-given resource called hydrocarbons. That's becoming now essential to unleashing the true economic power of the region, one that previous generations maybe didn't have to do, but this generation has to do. And more than ever, it's actually well within reach. The future will be defined, as already Khaled has said, by the young women and men, like the ones actually who've joined us here today, the scientists, the engineers and technologists, of which Dow and GPCA are playing a very, very important role, with the first ever Young Scientist program in the GCC. These remarkably talented students represent institutions in the UAE, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait. Through their work, their aspirations, their new way of thinking, as Khaled so well described, to pursue careers and opportunities in very different ways, they're going to build that exact future that the region needs and that the industry commands. They're all seated here. I won't embarrass them, but I know they're going to build the next chapter of advanced manufacturing right here in this region of the world. An exciting development, actually, for all of us who call this region home and for the businesses who do the same. My company, Dow Chemical, is lucky to be one of those businesses. We have long, deep roots in the Middle East, starting 4 decades ago when we opened up our offices here in Dubai and continued through long-standing partnerships and joint ventures. We're excited about growing here and growing from those roots. As Khaled discussed, we have now partnered with Saudi Aramco to build the largest ever integrated chemical manufacturing facility ever constructed in a single phase. As this visual diagram shows, the morphing of that site up in Jubail is impressive. Already 77% complete, it will connect globally competitive feedstocks with cutting-edge innovation, bringing high-value solutions to customers in fast-growing emerging economies and generate billions of dollars in revenue. That's a significant undertaking, both in its scope and its implementation. And it takes the engines of 2 powerhouse companies, Dow and Saudi Aramco, as well as the vision of the Saudi government to make it a reality. After initial startup in mid-2015, Sadara will be run by nearly 4,000 highly skilled professionals, a great many of them extremely talented young Saudi nationals that we've been working and training all in facilities all over the Dow world. When they return to help run Sadara, the ripple effects of their work will be widely felt across the region. You see, Sadara is not just a basic chemical facility. It's a hub of multiple products that are building blocks for multiple value chains, such as automotive, construction materials, and water purification, to name a few. Alongside the complex is a value park, Plascam, which is being built thanks to the auspices of the Royal Commission. Already Dow plans to build a world-scale coatings facility there. And Sadara and the Royal Commission are in active negotiations with over 20 more companies, each representing their downstream part of the value chain, where innovation is central to their value add, as is the creation of multiple highly skilled jobs. So in addition to creating opportunities for the young, ambitious, and highly skilled women and men throughout this region, this facility will make possible the growth that has been talked about in other talks, growths of entire industries, serving markets from transportation to consumer products that have never been before based in this region. It's truly a partnership model for the future, and a future of our industry, not only because our company seized this opportunity, but because they did so at this vital intersection between government, business, and civil society. That's the intersection where opportunity has to be created, because Sadara can show to key stakeholders what can happen if we work together, if we indeed build an advanced manufacturing sector on top of the advantaged feedstocks that are available. The work of advanced manufacturing really hinges on our ability to innovate, to keep ahead of this commoditization curve that is going up and down on a daily basis, and to develop innovation-centric industries that can actually get ahead of that curve. Consider this sector. The companies represented in this room and the governments and the people of this region. Each strives to achieve sustainable success, and doing so requires companies like ours that really meet the basic needs of the regions and all regions in every area, from food to water to energy. One example in Sadara itself is that we are going to build a world-scale FinTech reverse osmosis membrane facility, the first of its kind ever built outside of the United States. There we will manufacture high-tech water purification products using examples that we are commercializing around the world on energy efficiency, cleaner water with lower energy use right here in this region. This will create over $1 billion of worth of new revenues in these supply chains just by that one facility. This is a remarkable sustainable solution. It's the type of innovation that occurs when engineers, scientists, government policymakers, and the right companies come together and, as Khalid said, collaborate. This is the way you build an advanced manufacturing sector. Build a hub based on technology and innovation, and if you build it, they will indeed come. And governments that get that, especially here in this part of the world, will see the job creation that they aspire to. Look, the Middle East definitely has the advantages that that beautiful video, which I must copy, showed us at the beginning. It showed the future of the industry in living color. But I like to talk about the 4 Ds. The 4 Ds over 20 to 30 years of experience in the West has been that governments and companies work through regulation by first companies being in denial, then being in defiance, then going to dialogue. And the 4th D, get things done. Stop the talk and walk the walk by demonstrating and prototyping examples. Here in the Middle East, we're seeing those examples being created. And how to create an advanced manufacturing hub and actually get it done means that governments have to create smart regulatory frameworks, means that policymakers have to work with the manufacturers that have these technologies, and then to create this balance that is actually based on red carpet, not red tape. Governments that get that, get the investment. And I'd like to say that this part of the world has seen the light, making smart choices. Nations that are working together with the industry to develop the regulatory frameworks, the innovation ecosystems, to spur the private sector investment in the innovation-centric technologies in a fast cycle world. I see this happening around the world. I see it. The demand for it is huge, from Europe to Australia, from China to the United States. As already mentioned in the opening, I had the privilege to co-chair President Obama's Advanced Manufacturing Partnership with the 2 succeeding presidents of MIT. We worked together, a team of 18, from industry, from government, from academia, to create policies that the government then put in place. As we speak, this board of advisors has enabled the creation of a dozen national network for manufacturing innovation across the US. A recognition that competitive advantage is based on human capital and human talent. Get the supply chain right in terms of building a capability in education and innovation Allow the frameworks to be entrepreneurial, scale up fast, be willing to fail, and build from the failure. This is indeed Silicon Valley. That's how Silicon Valley happened. But rather than let it be an accident of nature, put it into a design framework. I see that we're doing this around the world now, and we're working closely with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on their strategies. And I can tell you, this part of the world seems to understand it needs to get this right. But governments have to do more. The last topic I want to touch is the one that Khalid covered, but cover it from my framework, the framework we at Dow use, and that is the topic of education. Central to all this is the notion it's the only resource that really matters. Natural resources below the ground, humanity's figured out how to make them abundant. Our human resources, our next generation of talent. How do we create an education ecosystem that works, that tailors itself to the modern generation's needs, as so beautifully articulated by Khalid? How do we actually put those ecosystems in place so that we can create the internships, the programs, the aspirations that the modern youth is needing desperately? Creating these career opportunities is all of our responsibility. It's the challenge of our time. You have a young population out here. Your youth unemployment is high, but you're not alone. Everywhere around the world, the topic of youth unemployment is central to the problems of government. We know it's centered in a lack of opportunity, a lack of education and employment, from really despair, because the other issue of our time, income inequality, the two together need to be solved at the intersection of business, government, and civil society. We have to do everything in our power to help utilize this wonderful talent that we have, these young people who deserve more than what the world's been providing them, especially in recent decades. We must focus on developing their ambitions and making STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, a beautiful aspirational vision again. A generation ago, scientists put man on the moon. Young people went to their backyards when it was legal and fired off rockets in response. People played with their chemistry sets when that was also legal. And a few of us maybe singed our fingers with Bunsen burners in our experimental labs. We loved the idea of chemistry. It was a drive and an ambition, a vision that chemistry created everything that humanity needed. Young people didn't mind the hard work to study hard because we made it fun and exciting. It wasn't mired in smokestacks and pollution and issues of the environment as we've been redefined by others. You see, our industry has been defined by others. We've talked about the Young Scientist Program. References have been made to great innovation-centric universities in this region of the world. Collaboration programs like at the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology that's been referenced. These are intersections that the GCC nations need to pay a lot of attention to. You can count on companies like mine to play a role, as big a role as you would like us to play, to help transfer young, bright minds to the future of science. We have to do it together, business and government, science and industry, old friends and new partners. At these intersections, progress will occur. That's where we all want to be. I'll leave you with this last thought. Dow and many of our companies in this room are at their core petrochemical companies, chemical companies, and we're proud of that. But we've got to do more than just be proud of it. At Dow, we convert $30 billion a year of fossil fuels into vital products for humanity. Yet outside of our employees and our communities, very few people know of the vital role we all play to enable modern life and a quality of life on this precious planet of ours. I would ask all of us to talk about it, be proud of it, bore your neighbors with it, but make sure that you young people understand that we offer the careers of the future. Thank you very much. I look forward to the panel.